right off the bat. Boom. So many people hit me up Sunday night, Monday morning. What did you say? What did we say? I told you, knew this. And I'm not doing that, by the way. I'm not doing that. There's again, not only is there a lot of time to do the whole "I told you so" thing, there's no reason to do any of that stuff right now. But that doesn't. Hey, on top of the poor play, on top of already needing to evaluate the little sample that you had, and hey, listen, even guys that are big Manziel guys have backed off. Oh, the bailing of Johnny Football this week has been unintentionally hilarious comedy for me. I don't know how many of you saw that. Monday morning. You guys know that listen every day how I feel about some of the other media members in town. And I don't blanketly get off on going after people. Even people that I will call out on something. I may a week later go, hey, I got to give that guy credit. Whether it's a guy like, I'm a Bill Livingston. Let's just go there because that's where I'm going with this. You guys know my issues with the way he honked from day one for Johnny Manziel and bring the magic to Cleveland. And Cleveland's afraid of success. They don't know how to reach out and grab the next big superstar. Then he sold out his column all summer long to some guy that's a friend of his from Texas who wrote the book Manziel Mania, and they sold Johnny Football books through the Plain Dealer sports editorials. It was amazing how improper that whole thing was. But nobody rode that boy's bandwagon into town louder and harder and honkier than Bill Livingston from the Cleveland Plain Dealer. And the first thing that I woke up to Monday morning was I was as wrong can be, Cleveland. And now that doesn't mean, again, that doesn't mean that this kid can't turn into something eventually. Go back to what I said 2 weeks ago when I said, look, you guys have got to be real. As we've been saying since before the draft, if you want to keep Manziel, I'm with it. Develop him. That's what the level he's at. 2, maybe 3 years from now, you can develop him into a guy that has a shot to be an NFL quarterback. That's not a slight on him. That's reality. But, we don't live in reality. We have to live in the fairy tale world and all of these other. But anyways, my point being, getting back to how quickly everybody bailed on that boat in the beginning. Not ready to start. Charles, he was not ready to play in the NFL. And I've got some things to say about something along those lines here with Carlos Dansby in a minute. You guys know where I'm going, but I want to stick to where I was at. How quick they bailed off the good ship Johnny Lollipop this week. Not only was my man Livingston off right away, Terry Pluto, his first article on Monday, first thing that he said was, I was wrong about Johnny Manziel. And again, all around town, everybody bailed as quickly as humanly possible because of a thing called the eye test. It has nothing to do with we're all just giving up on this guy. Yeah, really, everybody's just giving. No. Everybody will tell you the same thing. Give him time to develop, maybe. But he's that underprepared, it's not even funny. And if you're still beating that bandwagon, then good luck with that. Stick behind your boy until his career is over. I can promise you that unless he changes a lot of things about himself, and even then it might be too late because he's already behind the 8 ball, but he's got time to work. But even if he puts in the work, he's still not guaranteed to be successful at what he does. But he is so underprepared that he hasn't even given himself a chance to be successful at that. But watching everybody just bail. I mean, the lights came on, cockroaches took off, man, and the Plain Dealer, A1 subject when you're talking about that. But you saw what happened. And so now it was a worst case scenario for the Browns in all reality, because not only did you lose Manziel, but you lost the opportunity to what little tiny bit of evaluation time you had left, gone. But I got to tell you, going back to my line just a minute ago, the eye test, all of you, even the ones who think it's all Cleveland's fault, it's all the Browns' fault, if Johnny went anywhere else, he would do great. Even if you're that crazy, about the prospects of Johnny Manziel, you have to use your eyes. You have to use your eyes, not your ears, not what somebody else told you, not what the popular opinion is. You have to use your eyes. And anybody that watched him, don't watch the other 10 players on the field, don't watch anything else. Anybody that watched John Manziel and what he did on the football field, if you spent more than 3 minutes going, well, maybe, no, he just doesn't have it right now, then you don't know what you're looking at, and we can't have this conversation. So, but anyways, going back to that, getting around to it, worst case scenario happens last weekend for the Browns because you lose your tiny bit of evaluation time that you had. But, I'm not gonna flow back too much to last week and do hindsight being 2020. That ship has sailed. He's out for the rest of the season. He's talking all week long. Johnny is. I've got to practice harder and prepare harder and so much. I got to tell you, his statement the other day to the media, some people said, boy, he owned up to it. I'm going the exact opposite of that. When he talked to the media for length the other day about being unprepared, but how you don't give up on a guy so quick and guys need years. And so it sounded to me like every excuse in the world that he could lay out there for himself. He took a step backwards, in my opinion, in owning some of the things in what he said. But that being said, I want to segue this conversation into what I think is the most underrated signing of the Cleveland Browns in years, and that's Carlos Dansby. We talked when he came in. A lot of people looked at Dansby and Whitner coming in as a lateral move, switching out TJ Ward and DeQuell Jackson just to switch two guys for two guys. I disagreed then. I disagree even more now. This week, in the last few days, a lot of talk has come out, and it's been public. This isn't behind-the-scenes whispers, rumors that Carlos Dansby doesn't like what Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel have done. No, this is Carlos Dansby standing in front of the media and saying, this is real. This is the reality of what's going on. These guys, this, that, this, and Carlos Dansby laid it out. These cats wasted a whole year. They wasted their time. They wasted our time. They came in unprepared. This is a job. This is not on-the-job experience. This is not come in, hang out, make a few $1 million, and eventually you'll figure it out. I mean, I get it about taking your time, about coddling guys, about getting them up to speed, but this is a little different level of that. How long has it been? And you can tell me what you want. If you're anti-Brown, somebody is going to jump in and say, oh, J-Rock, who cares? The Browns stink. I'm telling you, the change in the culture is real. It takes time. We've seen what this season has already laid the foundation, but it's guys like Carlos Dansby. All the jokes aside about play like a Brown and all that other stuff, Carlos Dansby, this is the first time in years that the Browns at the end of the season have had a veteran who didn't just go, well, that's up to the coaching staff to talk about that. I'm just going to go home and get ready for next season. Everybody backs out. Everybody goes political with their statements. Everybody bails on their leadership for years here in Cleveland. Carlos Dansby came out this week and called those boys, Justin Gilbert and John Manziel, on the carpet for coming in unprepared, but not just for coming in unprepared. He called them out on the carpet for not preparing during the season, for not getting up to speed, for not doing what you need to do, not just to live up to being a first-round draft pick in the NFL, but to live up to playing in the NFL. For so long, if the Browns had had a few guys who have been other places, who've come in here and actually done that instead of just cash the paycheck. Because that's what Carlos Dansby could do. He could cash that fat paycheck that he got from the Browns, and he can go home and go, hey, man, we won 7 this year. The Browns haven't won 7 in 5-6 years, man. I'm cashing my paycheck and enjoying Christmas. But for once, they have some veterans in the locker room that are going to call guys on the carpet, that are going to take guys to task for not doing what they need to do. I got to tell you, it's a breath of fresh air to me to hear that at the end of a Brown season, because at most ends of most Brown seasons, we hear a bunch of unattributed reports, rumors, sources say this, guys behind the scenes are saying that. For once, you got a guy standing up and going, no, You want to win games? You want to get better? You got to do this. You want to play in the big leagues? You want to be Johnny Football? You want to go be Justin Gilbert, the number 1 draft pick? Then show up. Do this. Put your work in. All of that stuff. I got to tell you, you can say what you want about how the wheels fell off in the second half of this season. I still say it's a Browns team that overachieved to begin with. But at the end of the day, the foundation was laid, to me, for where this was going. I had somebody ask me yesterday, hey, do you think Mike Pettin comes back? I said, that should not even be maybe that is being asked by people. I think that is the most insane question that I've heard. Not only should that man come back, but that man, I'm not saying he's coach of the year, but he should get a couple of votes, just a couple of guys going, hey, man, Mike Pettin, what he dealt with over there in Cleveland, man, he did a decent job as well. For a rookie head coach, I feel that Coach Pettin has done a decent job. There's things he could do better, but there's a lot of things, and it's this attitude that I'm talking about that goes a long way. And I've got to say, the fact that Mike Pettin did not play Justin Gilbert this year very much, the fact that he did not play John Manziel, while that may bother some Browns executives and maybe some Browns fans who bought Manziel. Speaking of, a funny little story for you guys. Not really meant to be funny, but it's the realities of being a Cleveland sports fan. My mom told me a story about one of my relatives that big Browns fan, obviously, lives outside of Cleveland now. So they bought a couple of Browns jerseys I think it was for the kid and the husband. Anyways, Brian Hoyer jerseys. This was a month ago when Brian Hoyer was still the quarterback of the Browns and things were okay still. The wheels hadn't completely fallen off the bus. So 2 weeks before Christmas, what do the Browns do? The Browns install Johnny Football as the quarterback. So what do my relatives do? They go trade their Hoyer jerseys in for Manziel jerseys because they think that the switch is made and here comes Johnny Football, and then the game came. And then they had these jerseys. And then the next game came. And then the injury. And they said, oh. See, that's where I had to hit that mute button because of that dry cough. But they said, oh, wow, now we have these jerseys instead of those jerseys. And I don't know which ones are better. I still think, I'll talk about that. I think Brian Hoyer is the quarterback of this team next year. I know some people may have just lost their, may have had a heart attack or something. I said that. I'll pick that up when we come back. But let's go there. Let's start there. We've been talking here. This has kind of been the week that was for the Browns. So we haven't even touched on the fact that Johnny's out. Hoyer may be out as well. Now, Hoyer doesn't need practice reps. He showed last week he can jump in and run the offense if need be, as we saw. And you know what? That was to me, the back end. And how funny it was that the whole thing started with, can Johnny come give a jump start and a spark to Brian Hoyer's struggling offense? And only in Cleveland does Brian Hoyer end up coming in and giving a spark to Johnny Manziel's offense, because that's what happened last week. And I got to tell you, for whatever any of us feel about Brian Hoyer, when he came in and put them 10 points on the board and moved the offense up and down the field after the opposite had happened, that was when you really opened your eyes. Not about Brian Hoyer, but about how not ready Johnny Manziel was. Let's talk about all of that, because now we've got Connor Shaw time coming perhaps this weekend. A lot of Browns fans interested to see what the undrafted Gamecock quarterback can do here. And hey, man, I mean, it's better than Tyler Thigpen. I'm all about it at this point. If Hoyer can't go, I think it'll be a game time decision if Hoyer can't. And it's smart of the Browns to let Connor Shaw get all the reps this week, because if he needs to go, he needs to be ready. If Hoyer needs to go, he can throw on a jersey and go out there and play one more game. So let's talk about that when we come back. Brian Hoyer, yes, ugh. Tyler Thigpen, Connor Shaw, Baltimore Ravens, all of that. We haven't even touched, by the way, the Cavaliers and all of that mess. We'll get into that a little later on in the show. Let's roll. Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com going to pick up right where we set the stage. That's where the Browns are, heading into their final game of the season here this week against the Baltimore Ravens. We'll talk Ravens as they need a win to have a chance to get into the playoffs here. A lot of teams in that, we'll talk about that situation here as the final couple of win and get in deals are going down this weekend. We'll talk Browns and Ravens. We've got a Ravens scouting report coming with Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com. Coming up next, we'll talk Cavaliers hoops, preview the weekend, and so much more. We have just got rolling on today's edition of the Sports Fix. Keep the conversation rolling. Jeff Gorman's joining us on the phone, so you keep it going on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix,